here we are. We are live, ladies and gentlemen, and we have a very awesome guest. Uh, Dude, you told me how you pronounce your name, and I've already forgot. That's how bad. That's how bad I am at this.
Let me help you,
Yeah,
Paul.
help me, please.
I'm Paul Chadeisson.
Paul Chadeisson. There we go.
Chadeisson. Yeah,
Chadeisson.
yeah.
Um, yeah, dude, I've we've talked about this right before we started. And I've been following your work for a while, and I know you sort of like disappeared for a couple of years, and then reappeared again, and
The ghost.
that's gonna be an interesting conversation we're gonna have, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think yeah, the first illustration, or I don't think it was the first illustration that I saw from you, but it was one of those where I was like, damn, that dude is ripping, dude.
It's cool, man. Thank
Was that
you.
illustration you did for I thought it was Galaxy Saga, right?
Yeah. That was
Yeah, that
this. I think so.
Japanese was a Japanese company,
Yeah, yeah.
Applebot,
It
right?
was. Yeah. It was that. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked
So,
working with those guys. I actually enjoyed working with those guys for a while. It was pretty
y-
cool. But
yeah.
yeah, I saw like the illustration you did with with this guy on sort of like the hover bike, and he was having like this helmet pilot. It was looking really cool, and you were doing like you were
Mm,
ripping, dude. It was like super cool sketches and all of that, and
thank
then
you.
you disappeared.
But this illustration was fun because they sent me the brief.
Yeah,
And the brief was okay. It's a guy who have no arm, but he have two guns instead of the arm, and
right.
he's running a motorbike, a flying motorbike. And I was, how can he pilot that without harm, you know? And I was
Yeah,
okay.
that
So
is
let's find a way to make it look like arms. But if you see the illustration, there is no hand, so you can't pilot that. So yeah,
yeah.
and nobody told me there is some hand missing. So I found the way to make it look yeah, kind of height. So,
They had like the
yeah.
most how to put it. They had the most briefs.
But
Like,
it's fun because they were like, okay, do what you want to do.
yeah.
I remember asking them, what is the, do you have an art direction or, you know, something to follow, like visual stuff you like? It was, and they told me, do what you want. And so, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
do what I want. It was super fun and super freedom. And they were, this guy, I think it was Maeda. I don't remember his surname, but he was super respectful and yeah,
Yeah.
Japanese are really, really respectful. And there's, I've been working with 3 times with Japanese, and every time they are super respectful, and it's
Yeah, they're
yeah,
very like
I love that.
formal and very
Yeah,
polite, like super polite. Super
yeah,
like that's whenever I get an email or have a conversation with anyone from Japan, they're like super polite, even more polite than Canadians.
I didn't
So
know Canadians were polite. I did. I
Mo-
never been there yet.
yeah, most of the Canadians I know are like polite as well, but polite in a more of an American way.
Mm.
But they're like formally polite. Yeah, it was. I had fun working with those guys too. Like it was super. The creative brief was very brief. There was not much going on there. It's just like do this cool stuff. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. I'll do it. So yeah, definitely had fun working with those guys. And I remember that's one of the first works that I saw. I've seen your sketches before, but that was the one I was like, damn, Daniel, that's so cool.
Ah, thank
That
you,
was
man.
like, when you see a work and you like right away, okay, this goes to my inspiration folder or something like that. I don't
Thank,
I don't particularly
uh,
have inspiration folders anymore.
I'm happy
Um,
to have one of my picture in your folder.
I
Thank you,
don't
man.
have those folders anymore. I stopped doing it a while ago, but it's one of those where I remember it and I do remember the artist, and then whenever I was like, oh, I'm gonna go and check out what this guy is doing, and then you came back,
Yeah,
and then something
yeah,
happened,
yeah.
and You came
Yeah,
back.
long way, long story.
Yeah, so let's
Yeah,
get into
so
that. I'm curious why you disappeared. I mean, you told me already, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are tuning in, and they are fans of your work. I hope some of them are curious. Like, where did you go for those couple of years?
I'm the ghost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the picture you were talking about, I was still an employee at. Are you familiar with Don't Know the Entertainment? It was for the game Remember Me. It
Yeah,
was
I
a
remember that.
sci-fi game.
Yeah,
It was my first job, and I stayed like 3 years and a half there.
that was
And
just cyberpunk sci-fi.
yes, it was in Paris,
Yeah,
Paris 2084. Yeah.
yeah. I remember. I remember you doing those concepts as well because you were blasting them on social media, and I was just, those
Yeah,
guys are doing some crazy shit. And I was like,
that's cool.
that's really cool ideas. And I was, yeah, I
But what?
remember me, and it's a very catchy title because I remember that.
Yeah, but the bad thing was the gameplay wasn't there, and that was
Right.
super frustrating. And this is the reason why me and two other guys we quit the company uh, to make our own game because um, we did everything we could to make the game looking cool, in terms of art and visual and stuff. But
Right.
the gameplay wasn't that good, and it was super frustrating because you want the game to be good, and everybody know how to make it look better, but the responsible guy for the gameplay wasn't
Yeah.
that open. And yeah, and I was working with the programmer from my company now. He had like a lot of experience. I think he started working on the Game Boy. So yeah, and he had like a lot of bad experience in a game. Like that's the problem with French company. It's like the game looks cool,
Mm-hmm.
but when you get the controller, it looks super bad. I don't know
Right.
why we don't know how to make good gameplay. That's a shame. So that's why we decided to okay, let's quit our company and let's do a game in our way without a game designer, without any. I don't say game designer are bad or stuff. It's more like when you think back in the day, there were no like game designer or concept designer, 3D artists. It was more like people who do everything, and everybody can do a very original and cool game design or a cool design. Even if you
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to draw, if you have some taste, you can do something looking good.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the technique, whatever, it's not a problem. So yeah, that's why we decided to make it in our way.
So
So
you
I think
so it was
yes.
you and your programmer friend and who else? Who
So
are the
yes.
guys who are responsible for this new
So
startup?
we were two artists. So maybe Pierre-Etienne Travers. Uh, he was P.U.
Mm-hmm.
He was on Sijun and CGHub long time ago. He was a
Rings the
mate
bell.
from Alex Fegini. They were working together. I'm sure you saw
Oh,
his work. I'm sure you saw his work. It's like 5 years ago, maybe something like that. So
if he was on Siegen, I'm pretty sure I must have seen
yeah,
his
but
work because Siegen was such a small community
mm,
um, with the speed
yeah,
painting thread. You almost like almost every name that was posting there, I still remember, or
yeah,
at
yeah,
least
yeah,
like rings the bell. Like, oh, is this? I've seen this guy before, and then I realized, oh
yeah,
yeah, he was on Siegen.
yeah. But yeah, so there were like Pierre Etienne, Cédric the programmer. He's an artist as well. He's
Mm-hmm.
the guy who know how to do everything. And maybe you know his work too, but yeah, it was like from maybe 10 years ago or 12 years ago.
Right.
He was doing some art like I'm going to show you after that.
Sure.
So
Sure.
yeah, so we quit our company and then we started. No, a year before leaving our company, worked on pre-production stuff,
Mm-hmm.
so how the game could look like and what the game could look like. Because you cannot just leave and do a game without any basis,
I was about to ask, like,
So,
you
yeah,
left and then started or what? And yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it makes more sense because then you at least have some, legwork done before. Um, so I guess there must have been the moment where you felt like you guys are ready to
yeah. It
pursue
was
this
more.
full time.
There was a time like we knew we could start it because all the pre-production was ready. We knew how we looked like the game. We made like a game design document
Mm-hmm.
and everything we need to do, like how many maps, how many game mode,
Mm-hmm.
all the structure of the game. So we just had to quit to find a good time to quit because in France you can't leave the company like instantly. You need to wait like 3 months and
Oh
do a
yeah,
lot
that's
of
true.
conversation. It's a super long, but the good part is like you can have some help from the government. So we
Hmm.
got some money from government, not that much, but enough to live.
Right.
So we could work like for a year or a year and a half and just do what we want to do.
Got it.
So we leave the company and we start developing the game. And at that period, we were, because we did the 3D with my friend, all the 3D of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't knew how to do 3D at that time. We were just like concept artists.
Yeah.
So we had to learn how to make a game in 3D, how to learn 3D. We need to know how to make uh, performance, profiling, how to make it run smoothly, like at 60 or more frame per second. It was a lot of things at the same time, uh, but I think it's Hoken. You know Hoken, right? The game from
Yeah, of
Friendly.
course. Yeah,
Yeah,
of
I
course.
think it's yeah. We
Yeah,
had
I'm
see
good friends
so much.
with Kang Lee. I actually
Yeah,
worked with
I
him in over at Riot Games. Yeah, he's
oh,
such a rad guy. He told me some stories about
yeah,
the company too.
yeah.
Um,
It's crazy, and
he's a
I
crazy
think
guy.
he's yeah. But I listened the Art Cafe with you and Kung. It was super cool to listen to him
Yeah.
because I think he's one of the start from uh, from us because if I remember well, there were like six to make a games, and they show to everybody you can do. You don't need to be like 50 or 100 to do a game. You can just be 4 or 6, and if you put the right person to the right place, you can make something that work and is very efficient.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Strive Vector is a flying mech.
Yeah.
We did that because if we can't get an animator because it will be too expensive. So okay, let's just do a game with fly stuff. So we don't need to do any animation. And we had that, and
Smart.
we had that feel. Yeah, because if we had to get an animator, we should have 1 or 2 more guys. Uh, it's same for everything. Like if we want some cool character, we need a character designer. And me and Pierre, we were just good at vehicles and environment. So okay, don't
Right.
do any character, and you need a guy who masters that brush, and it take like 1-2 months to do a character. It was too long. So okay, let's just do like a simple stuff like flying, a flying game, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
that's pretty
simple
smart.
things, and
Yeah.
but
It's very
if
smart.
you want to
It's
do that, but I think we didn't have any other choice because it wouldn't be possible, if we had to be more. So
No, but see,
that's how it
there
started.
is I've seen games that start from just an assumption. Let's do this really cool thing, and then it just takes so much effort to get the right people and organize
Mm,
finances. And it seems like you
yeah.
guys had a good sort of like, let's use the system we have in place and and use that for the advantage
Mm,
of creating a company, and that's great.
mm,
Like if you were in US, that would be probably much more problematic because US doesn't have any social social network that or
yeah.
network that you can quit job and then use unemployment to sort of like run for a while.
Mm.
You don't have
But
that here.
in US you need to get the money from
No,
investor.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, of course.
if you want to run a company in US, you need you can't be like you need to enter to the in the game. Like you need to see business angel or people who have the money. And yeah, you don't know. I don't know if you have other choice except if you have a lot of money. But um,
Well, it depends on what you
and
want to do. Obviously, like if you're
yeah,
just starting a business and you want to build it from the ground up, you can do that. It's pretty easy to run business in US.
mm,
It's not easy to incorporate, but now like with services like you have this service called LegalZoom, for instance. I think Gusto does the same job where you just pay, I don't know, $100 or something like that, and they incorporate it for you and deal with all the paperwork if you want to.
mm,
It's obviously a smarter idea to have an actual accountant that does it all for you, especially if it's a good
yeah,
one, because then you can sort of like game, almost, let's call it game a system, or
mm,
make the corporation sort of like, it's like adjusting the settings, like we're
yeah,
gonna save on taxes here. This is gonna be this, and this is gonna be that, so you never run into problems. And if something happens, it's being dealt with easier. But those there are systems that help you to do that. But if you're planning to sort of like, I'm having a full-time work and I want to quit and do this thing, like that's it's not going to be as easy here as it is in France, for instance, or Germany, or any you know Scandinavian countries or something like that. It depends on the, I guess it depends country by country as well.
yeah. But I don't know if there are too much countries that help people. Like in France or
I think
maybe
Germany does that.
Germany.
I think
Yeah.
Germany does that in France.
Mm.
I'm not sure about UK. I'm not sure about
Uh,
the other countries actually, but
yeah, but
I know
mm,
Germany does that, and it seems that, yeah, it seems you guys
mm,
over there in France do it as well.
mm. But we made a company because if you want to sell a game, for example, if you want to get the money, you need to make it official and legal. So
Yeah,
you need to run a company. But it wasn't our plan to have a company. We just wanted to make a game, and the only way to make it happen was to make a company. So we did
right.
it. But
What are
it's a
the
lot of
like, just out
pain.
of curiosity, what are the taxes you pay over there? Because there's obviously,
It's super expensive, man.
yeah,
Super expensive. I think we lost like 30% of what we got. The first year it was insane, man.
mm,
And because it's we didn't have a content to help us to optimize the money and how to invest it.
right.
To make more profit. We were just like the guy who made money, and they try to run a company. And when taxes come, they say, "Fuck! Oh my god!" And yeah, the year after, we made really careful because yeah, it was. I think it's super important to be very organized and make the things how having an accountant. You must. It's a must. You can't
Yeah,
do without an accountant. And we make like for 1 year and a half without any accountant, and it wasn't that serious. It was the developer who do some
yeah, yeah,
statistic and planning, but it's not accurate. It's super dangerous, honestly.
yeah. You can get fucked up real easily.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. When we saw the tax to come, we just were. It's not possible. They can't take all of it now. Oh my god, shit! Oh,
you're
it was
like you're like
terrible.
ready, like, yeah, and then at the end of the year,
Yeah,
it's like, fuck.
fuck no.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's
it was
it's it's
terrible.
different, isn't it? Like when you work for a company and you're a full time employee, the taxes are being
Yeah,
taken care of, and you just see the check, like you see the paycheck
yeah,
coming in, and you're happy. If you're
yeah.
freelancing or running your own business, you have to be really weary on what amount of money you're actually saving for to pay taxes.
Mm.
And I've seen this happen. Like I've seen some artists being surprised, like they've earned a lot of money, and then at the end of the year, it's like, what the fuck? I have to pay like 30,000 $40,000 in taxes. What the fuck happened?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it is what it is. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. But
There's two
now,
certain things in this life, isn't it? It's you're gonna die and you're gonna pay taxes. There's no those two things
yeah,
gonna
but
happen.
it's good to, because now I'm doing freelancing
Hmm.
since like a year, and it's super nice to just don't care about, responsibility, all that stuff like you have when you rule a company.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, my life has really changed in my mind. Like I'm super cool and calm now. But when you run a company, you have so much responsibility and stress and stuff. So it's good to have some break sometime, I think.
Yeah.
Like doing freelancing, you just do some art and you don't really think about too many things at the same time. Just one or two tasks and super simple, and it's good.
Hmm.
It's good to have that. Yeah, I think so.
How many people ended up working on Strike Vector? How many people you end up working
The
with?
first one, I think maybe 9 different people work on the first one.
Hmm.
We made the game in 1 year, so it was super
Nice.
fast. And the main team was about 4 people, like full time. And yeah, some people helped us like for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like a lighting from Remember Me just came to help us. Same like we had a coder or special effects. It was more like small help
Yeah.
from friends. But then we made the second one, Trajectory X. We had an employee, we had an intern, and we worked a lot with external company.
Hmm.
Like for example, you have the game almost ready. You need to try it. It's Stravector is a multiplayer game,
Yeah.
so we was it's hard to find like 20 people at the same time to try the game,
Yeah.
even on PS4. Because Steam, it's easy. You just give some key and people join, and it's super easy. But PS4, when your game is not out,
Yeah. You
nobody
need you
can
need
see your
QA,
game.
right?
Yeah, so we need like some QA company where we are worked with marketing and communication company to make the press release, the trailer, and getting good connection with IGN or GameSpot,
Hmm.
main website. We did like a cool logo. I think it was the time to okay, let's give the work to other people so it's gonna be better. Because the first one we did everything, like even the logo or the menu, the communication of the game, we did everything. But you can feel like everything is like it could be much better, but
Yeah.
it can't be because you don't know how to do that. So if you give that to someone who really master it, everything is gonna be much better. So
Yeah.
Star Victory X, the second was more okay. Let's do the same game, but with much higher quality.
Did you get
So
any?
yeah,
Did you get any investors to help you out with either of the
no,
games? Okay.
no, we that was yeah, we wanted to be indie. Like you
Right.
can really do what you want without any modification from. We were quite afraid from publisher, because in big company, they can make you game change. Like it's a tongue game, and
Yeah.
after 6 months, okay, you're gonna do some horse game. Okay, so you change the tongue to a horse, and yeah, shut up.
Yeah. You don't want to have that.
So
You want to have full control over what you're
yeah,
doing.
yeah. So yeah, you got less money for sure, but you have the full control of what you want to do,
Yeah.
and I think the most you enjoy what you do, the most people will feel it and will maybe enjoy, the game or the art. When you get bored, if you do like a sketch or a concert, and
Yeah.
everybody will feel that okay,
Yeah.
it's,
It's like
it's
a.
not really share anything.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. Yeah. Makes absolutely a lot of sense.
Mm,
Yeah. It seems like you guys sort of like took advantage of, or not took advantage, but been smart with the first one, and
mm,
you know took advantage of the tax system and the fact that you can get help from
Mm.
unemployment in France and use that. Did you guys went the same route with when you were working on the second game, or did the first game made enough money for you guys to actually fund making the
Uh,
second game?
the first game made enough money to fund the second game, so
Okay,
that's why we
cool.
did it.
That's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Very nice.
But it's because I don't know how you make it with Launch Squad, but when you sell a game, you don't know how much you're gonna sell, and
It's always
you
when we release, it's always like, is it gonna sell? Is it gonna sell?
yeah yeah
And
yeah
we
yeah
never know.
you,
It's you can just make assumptions
yeah.
based on the track record, but
Mm.
we've been surprised so many times in terms of sales. It's so hard to tell. You never know. It's because you're selling a product, right?
Yeah, you
At
can't.
the end of the
Maybe
day, you're
you,
selling a
you can
product.
have
So
you can have some idea maybe for big games. You know they're gonna sell like a minimum of I don't know, 1 million. But
right,
for indie game, it can be like 100 sales. It can be 200,000. You don't know.
yeah,
For example, our game, we didn't have any idea about how much we're gonna sell. And the first week, first 10 days, we sold like 30,000,
nice,
and then it stopped. But because when you're not in the front page, you don't
right.
sell anything. It's really like on off. There is no like okay, it's slow down a bit. No, it's just you don't sell anything.
It just stops.
Yeah, and we
That
say
sucks.
we thought like, yeah, it's kind of cool, but are we going to sell more?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
after
yeah.
a few months, we didn't had any opportunity to sell it, so it was kind of okay. Maybe we should stop, do something else. And after like maybe 5 months from the release, we had Steam sales. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but every summer, every winter, they are doing some sales, like a drastic
Yeah.
discount from game. And our game appear in a special discount, like for 8 hour at
Mm-hmm.
20%, something like that, and it sold like so much in just 8 hour. It was like maybe
Yeah, Steam is a
30,
machine, isn't
so,
it?
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like you go back home, like you have a normal sleep, and you came back to work, and you see like there is so much game have been sold in just the night,
Mm-hmm.
and it's what happened? What the fuck happened? What the fuck? Yeah, it was crazy. And after 10 days, maybe a week, same thing happened again. It was fuck. What the what the fuck is that?
Good.
And it happened 3 times like that, and we sold like so much in just 1 month.
That's
But
good. I mean,
you cannot really control that.
yeah,
But after
it's
that, we decide, okay, we can do another game from the money we have now. So
yeah.
let's do that. But you don't know if you're gonna sell like 4 times more or nothing else more. It's I think when you do indie games, it's very hard to plan things. But usually company, like Activision or every major company, the,
They
they're
have
not
marketing
working like
budgets.
that.
Yeah, they have big
Yeah, but
budgets for
yes, but
marketing.
they have publisher, so
Yeah.
it's more like they get contract, so they always have enough money to make the company run,
Yeah.
and you can really control what you're doing even more when you're like Naughty Dog. I'm sure they Sony trusts them so much, so they will always have the money
Yeah,
enough
it's
to make what they want.
Naughty Dog is owned by Sony, so Sony will
Yeah,
obviously make it because it's like Sony's baby almost, right? So they
yeah,
always gonna make sure it's marketed in the right way, and because Naughty Dog has the track record to prove that they can make great games, they do have a lot of control over what they do, and yeah, it's a completely different system
mm,
where you're working with the publisher that has big marketing budget, and they use that
mm,
budget to make deals with whether it's Steam or I don't know, any company that, or even it's like a commercial on TV or billboards, anything like that.
mm,
It's so differently controlled, or ads on Google, ads on YouTube, like any of those things are so controlled, and they are paid for. So it's much easier to market. I guess
Yeah,
in,
sure.
in situation when you're running your own business, you sort of have to learn marketing. You have to become
Mm,
sort of like a marketer of your own. And it seems to me that with the games specifically, it's much harder unless you engage a lot with the social media and build audience
mm,
up front, which is a difficult thing to do if you don't have any track record whatsoever, or
mm,
if you don't have an idea that it's so appealing that people are just gonna rally around it.
mm.
You know that game, Monument Valley
Yeah,
for
sure.
ice,
Yeah.
like iOS was I think for iPhone and whatnot. Like that. That's a good example. If there was one more game that was done like that, I don't exactly follow exactly how those games were done, but I've
Mm,
seen a lot of buzz about the game before it was even released. So it's like, yeah, it looks cool. It looks amazing. I'm curious, And when it's released and you hear about it again, it's not, you're not constrained about what you see in front of your TV set, where whether it's marketed on PlayStation Store or not. But again, like if you're releasing a game for PlayStation and not like iOS or something like that, it's so much more difficult because as
it's
you
very
said, like,
different.
yeah, it's very different too.
For example, if you release a game on PC, it's the game will by nature be more accessible to everybody. You can give some key to everybody.
Yeah.
Uh, PS4 it's super close. I think if you want to sell a game on PS4, you need to have some money to spend to make the game famous. But you can't really count from people who will try the game and make it famous after that.
Yeah.
It's super different. For example, for on the first Trajector, we had like we were able to do some beta before the game was
Mm-hmm.
released, and it really helped to make the game famous. And people, like Kotaku, saw the game and they made some big show about the game. And
Yeah.
it's really yeah, it's kind of you need to have some luck, and uh, you need to prepare for making the best as you can. And if you have the luck to make it work,
Mm-hmm.
it's cool. But you can't really. It's like running the company. You can't really control if it's gonna work
No.
or not.
Yeah. No way.
It's kind of, for example, like the Kotaku saw some artwork from the game, and that's how Luc Plunkett discovered the game, and he discovered a video like was released maybe 4 months ago,
Yeah.
4 months before, and he made this video like exploding completely on the internet. But before that, it wasn't that didn't the game wasn't really visible.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had like some luck 4 months later after, and we got famous. But yeah, it's it's super. You can't really control anything.
Yeah, it's
It's
there's no way you can, and I can tell you from experience of Learn Squared as well. It's like we only have assumptions based on the track record, really,
mhm.
but it like we just cannot tell, and it's really comes down to the quality of the product. I mean, it's a little easier for us because than if we would have like a PlayStation game, because we're creating a product that has a little longer longevity.
Mhm.
It's more, it's an educational product. It's for students. Learn Squared grows as we release new content. It grows. We have more and more students, so that obviously helps to market things. But there's just so many layers that come into what we do and whether it sells or not. There's just so much going on, and it's just really hard thing to tell. Like maybe it's gonna make great, or maybe it's gonna be shitty. Who knows? As you said,
No,
like
but
you cannot control that at all.
but I think Launch Square look like a good practice for company, because you release very small content, compared to a video game. It's
Yeah,
like a short content. I don't know how long it's like one artist who do one tutorial.
yeah,
He don't spend like 6 months on it. I don't know how much, but maybe a week or two. I really don't know. But I think it's super. more easy for you, for example, to create some content.
Mm-hmm.
And this content can really it's useful for maybe in 4 years you will still be able to
Yeah,
learn from
it's different
what you
for
did.
sure.
It's not getting that old compared to a game that gets really old fast because the engine evolves so fast. Uh, I think Learn Square is a very super nice practice and a good idea for as company. I think.
Yeah, I mean, when you make it, obviously, when you make a game, it's probably it's gonna live for like a year or two,
Yeah.
unless you're making something like
Mm,
Dota or League of Legends or I don't know World of Warcraft, those games that have like really
mm,
long longevity because they're just constantly building new
mm,
stuff and they're always evolving, and they have huge audience. That's so much different. And there's just
mm,
only few games like that really have like really long
mm.
longevity. Um,
Yeah.
that've been on the market for really long time. Not that many out there. I mean, you could
Mm,
probably count them on your fingers, on your hands, and
mm.
that's it. And so many games are released every day, anyways, right? So,
Yeah,
um,
but it's funny because in video game it's you have everything or you have nothing.
yeah,
There is there is no half. You know, you can't.
yeah. I wouldn't want to be
It,
in that business. I'll be honest with you. I mean,
yeah,
I
it's
like
super hard.
games. I like games, but I know how hard it is to make them just
Mm.
based on my experience in working in games industry. And I know a couple of people working on indie games, including you now. um, and yeah, it's never been like, oh, it's been the most wonderful experience, super successful. I'm gonna do it for it. Like I've never heard anything like that ever. It's
Mm.
usually like, man, like I wanted to kill myself so many times before release. It's true because
Now,
like the amount of effort that comes to making something like Strike Vector versus the amount of effort that comes to make a course, it's
mm,
so significantly different. Even though I mean
yeah,
we spend much more time on creating the content than your average Gumroad tutorial. Obviously,
mm,
it's because like we want to have that control over what quality we deliver and what we understand that will help students in terms of development, right? Instead of just like, oh, here's a Gumroad that I made over a weekend, and I'm not. I look, I made Gumroads myself, and it's not like people who are making Gumroads, including myself, they're doing it just to do it. You do it because you want to share your knowledge and you want to share how you work in the first place. But when you work on something for longer, then you're paying more attention to details, and it becomes much more refined product that have lives longer, right?
mm.
So
I think maybe it's um, I think it's easier, you know, when you do like a shorter experience. You know, for
yeah,
example, like a sketch or a concept. You know, you spend like 2 hours or a day or
yeah,
2 days, even a week. You know, you learn faster than a game that spend like a year minimum to do it, or two
yeah,
years or 3 years.
and you don't know if it's gonna
And
be good because there's so many moving parts.
yeah, and you know, if you done some shit on the game, it would have taken 3 years to realize it.
Yeah,
Instead of a sketch like will just take you maybe
yeah,
you know you just drop the artwork and you get some comments how to improve that, and even the fact to move to a new artwork, you kind of start to see that the previous one is already old, and you
yeah,
start to see how to improve that. And game, honestly, uh, the time is super different. And I think, you know, for example, Learn Square is good because you make some content super fast compared to like a movie or a game.
yeah.
So you can really learn faster. And I think it's good in business, I think, to learn fast and don't take 3 or 4 years to learn something.
Yeah.
I,
I'll tell you one
I
thing. One thing from being from creating Learn Squared and working with my partners Ash Thorpe and Andrew Horlick. Apart from just learning business, and you kind of learn a lot of business yourself by running the company, by creating strike vector and working with others, you know how many layers and stress comes into like just
Mm.
everyday mundane things that you don't even expect are coming at you.
Yeah.
um, but one of the things that I've learned the most over the last couple of years is that the assumption of how you evolve in the artistic world, and how you grow your own success as an artist is mostly based on your commitment to learn new things and develop those things on a very steady pace, right? So
Hmm.
if I've realized that the most things I've learned in my life in terms of being an artist, and I've been in the industry for now 15 years, I think. 15 years in the like working professionally. And the most that I've learned so far is last 3 4 years. That's the where I've learned the most, and I've created the most stuff. Um, but yeah, and it's
Yeah.
based on the idea as you're saying. It's just like learning uh, in smaller chunks, learning something and sort of developing from there, adding it to the toolkit, and you know.
But it's funny because you completely moved to like 3D, and I think when you just uh, change like your way of your material of expression, like
Yeah.
you can do it in the same way as you learned before, like for example with 2D art.
Mm-hmm.
But with 3D you can. Oh shit! My baby just cried. Uh,
All right.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Fuck.
you. You can go. I'll
Just
continue.
hold on.
Don't worry. Yeah, Paul is having a baby, obviously crying, so he has to attend to that. In the meantime, I'll just maybe talk about a little bit more about Learn Squared. But yeah, Paul has had some interesting points, and one of the things I personally started to realize is like me as a person, I'm more intrigued into learning new things constantly, and learning them in small bursts and working on the smaller projects rather than getting big projects done. So there's I had a couple of personal attempts to create something larger and interesting.
I
Maybe like a short film or
I'm
something. Yeah.
I'm back.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. I was just saying, sort of like following that conversation we had on big versus small projects, and it's sort of like basically resonates with my own personal experiences where I've tried creating bigger projects, like maybe started do a short film or things that just take months and months and months to do,
Hmm.
and I just cannot do it. Like I just always find myself getting disinterested in doing it after a while, and want to move on something else, and get so much more excited about doing something else. And like my business partner and really good friend, Ash Thorpe, is so completely different because he, apart from the fact he's just way more, he's just such a super powerful person, super intense, but he has those urges to do larger projects, and he did Epoch, he did Lost Boy, and he's doing those larger projects and releasing them constantly. um I don't know, just different mentality when it comes
Hmm.
to work on something bigger and seeing reward like a little later, rather than working
But
on something smaller where you
but
constantly see reward, and it's just like you build up in the small increments.
but the good thing of doing some bigger project is like you can really push and improve constantly. You know what you're working on.
Right.
Like it's like a pre-production. You know the first artwork. Even if you're happy with the first artwork you will do,
Mm-hmm.
after a full year of working and developing the universe, we just realize what it became is much more powerful than the first stuff you done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a balance, I think, and working in long time in a project like a movie, you can really improve the concept. I mean,
Yeah.
but the problem with that is it's super long and you can
Yeah.
get bored
I
super
guess
fast.
I guess maybe because I already did that. I worked
Mm,
on games that took years to make. I worked in films for months and months
mm,
of a time. So I do understand the concept of getting into something, getting super
mm,
excited, and getting really bored with it, and then getting excited again.
mm,
And it's just like maybe it's because I do it daily with the projects that I do for clients, that I'm just disinterested in repeating that in my own personal time.
mm.
And maybe
But
maybe what I need is just take a break and do that instead. Like just focus on my own project for a longer time and not to worry
but
about you know working with clients. But that's like a separate thing, I guess.
but maybe you get faster with time. Like it take a while. When it's your first job. For example, remember me, it took like 3 years to find the looking of the game. Two or 3 years.
Hmm.
And then Strive Vector took more like a year. And now when I'm working on movies or other projects, it's really faster. I think it's maybe it take a lot of time just to learn to develop a universe, but then when you kind of start to understand how to do that, maybe you're faster. I don't know,
Right.
or maybe you're less patient. I don't.
Well,
I don't really
obviously,
know.
the more experience you have, you're gonna get faster. That's
Mm,
granted. I guess it's just the patience to create things and create them over and over again. I guess it comes down to character and perspective of the person that is working. So
mm,
like the only reason I'm really saying that is just because there's a nice contrast to sort of like an understanding of why some people create those art books and work on their own games and do that, whereas others are only doing sketches and nothing else. Is because everyone is so different and get excited about different things. And at the end of the day, when you work for a company, when you work for someone else and you do someone else's project, and then you do it for elongated like really long time, and you go through those moments where you're just like, oh fucking I hate doing this. Do you really want to impose your personal life and personal projects to the same struggles? That's the question. Like if
mm,
some people do because they enjoy being challenged and struggling all the time. Some people don't. Like some people just like to struggle for a little and then relax, or do something that is fulfilling. So it's just I guess it depends on personality a lot, but yeah. Dude, we have a bunch of questions that we could jump into as we're talking about things.
cool.
And one of the questions, because you were talking about how Strike Vector took you guys about a year to actually develop the
Mm-hmm.
look and whatnot. One of the questions was actually where did you find an inspiration for the design of it? The design of the look of the game.
Mm, it's funny because when we are doing like the marketing, we are just watching. Okay, let's do a flying game, and
Mm-hmm.
the first idea was to make a space game
Right.
because when something is flying, it's just in space, and we just saw like we will not be visible compared to other games that will make far better than us. So we had to find a way to be different
Mm-hmm.
because we are indie. We don't have any money to spend to be visible. So we need to find a way to be different and to interest people.
Right.
So we had the idea. Okay, let's do a world in the air because there's not too much things in the air like maybe Miyazaki, Flying Castle,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe there's honestly there are like 2 or 3 movie or games who take place in the air. Honestly, so
Yeah.
we had
Not
like
that many.
a good window develop that. And so we started to make some design in the air, but we were super influenced by Hawken. So first look, it looked like Hawken, but in the air. It wasn't really original. So we had to find a way. Okay, let's be different. Let's try something new. And at that period, I was super influenced by about the abandoned place. I was visiting a lot of old factory, massive factory city, and I was kind of very passionate by industrial, oil rig, that kind of stuff. We don't see that much in game or movie, and I like that. So I wanted to try to make this fly, and how it could look like by flying, even if it's not really. Yeah, and even if it's not really, how, I want to know how they make this fly,
Yeah.
But let's try this, and it can be different. So let's try that.
That's cool. You can definitely see the influences of like the industrial, factories and machinery in the way the ships look like, and even everything else pretty much,
But it's funny because the idea came more by some. It wasn't like artistic feel at the first time. It was more like, okay, how can we be different? It was from a marketing study.
Yeah,
that's how the influence came, and that just reminds me I maybe should maybe I should try to think about how to create a new universe. Maybe it's a good technique to try to be different.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. It's good. You usually find that one spot where most of the influence comes from, and you guys found it, and it works. It looks pretty good, dude. It was
cool.
It does have some refreshing moments where it's like, I wouldn't think about that this way, and when you have that moment, it's like, yeah, that's really cool. I enjoyed that. So
cool.
Another question was, and it's more, do you ever work in films, by the way, or recently, or it's just mostly video games?
Since I'm doing freelance, I don't know why, but it's only movies, no games. And I don't understand because I came from game industry and I just got contacted.
I think that the two are merging. We're at the verge of where both filmmakers find more artists in video games, and video game companies find more artists in film. It's kind of like mixing up. But the question, the reason I'm asking is someone asked the question where, do we need to design a 3D model according to the world scale in film? For example, if I need to design something big like a stadium, do I need to start designing it with the original size? So the reason that's the reason I asked, like, if you, because you seems like you're working with movies now. First of all, do you do any 3D designs currently with the movies? And the second would be, if so, do you really care about the scale? Because I have my own opinion on this, obviously.
When I do video games, I don't really care about scales. Mm-hmm. But since I've been working on few movies, I realize scale is super important because it's gonna be built for real.
Yeah.
And it can, if the set is like double size, it's cost 4 times more. So you need to do things smaller, and I think you need to be smart in the movie way, like do small things but that are efficient to not cost that much money. Because in video games, honestly, you can do whatever you want. It's not gonna cost that much more. If you want to do like a giant environment, you can find a way to make some LOD stuff. You're gonna find a way to make it work. Yeah. It's really, but in movies it's really different, and it was kind of hard at the beginning to not do big stuff. But I like it. I think it's really refreshing to work for that. So
yeah. And
I don't know if it's answer, but
when you create environment art, like mostly environment designs for film, you oftentimes, at least I'll tell you from my experience, you you work with set designers, and set designers have to work with scale because the way they design sets is based on, what's the stage, where is the stage, how much space the stage has, how much buffer between the wall and the actual stage is for safety reasons. So there's so many measurements that they have to adhere to in order to create, something that then later can be built as the actual set. And there's usually a division, like this is going to be a practical set, that part's going to be built practically, this is going to be green screen, and where the green screen starts. So if you're designing something that has to be practically built, it's almost imperative that you're working with scale. Like they will ask you how big it is. Like the first question, if you don't have like a scale reference, at least a scale reference, um, for designers to take it later and then incorporate it with the rest of what they're building. You're gonna That's the first question you're usually gonna be asked. And I remember when I started working on Captain America, I I, I was helping to design the Winter Soldier chambers, and as they were sending me 3D files and I was doing some overpaints and adding some of my own work to it, they always came back. The first thing they came back with, like, how big it is, right? Like, can you put a box? Can you put like one foot, 1 feet, box in the scene so we know how big it is? And from there I was like, okay, from now on I'm just working with scale. It's just imperative, especially, and it's even more important when you work with vehicles, because then usually you have a vehicle base that you have to work with, and then you continue working like that. So scale is extremely important in film. But things like stadium, yeah, you could put some like a scale reference. It's rarely gonna happen. You're gonna design a whole stadium. It's not like they're gonna rent a stadium or build the whole stadium for a film. It's probably gonna be visual effects, which means they have to know a scale more or less. But yeah, that's an interesting
But yeah, I
question.
think
But it's
for
yeah. Go ahead.
I think for VFX you can do like video games because it's CGI. It's not the same problem with size and scale, I think,
Right.
because it's not built. So
Yeah.
even if you have a model and okay, let's do that. Let's scale it 10 times. It's not gonna cost any cents more.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's still for whoever is creating visual effects, it's good to know what the actual size is, so they can put it in the proper scale with everything else that is happening in the screen on the screen. So, but yeah, it's less imperative if you're creating VFX assets versus when you're creating practical assets. That's for sure. Did you go to any school to learn art, or are you self-taught?
I've done a graphic design school
Mm-hmm.
for 4 years.
Okay.
And then, but I was practicing at night, with Sejun, and
Right.
I started with. Do you know Arnaud Feu? He's Aaron. He's doing some pretty cool speed paint. I'm sure you know his work.
Probably.
How to pronounce that correctly in English? Aaron, Aron.
Mm-hmm. What's the last name?
No. Aaron Feu, Pheu. No.
You know what? I probably seen his work.
Okay.
And that's about it.
You see my screen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Let me try that. So I started with this guy and Pierre Etienne, my mate for Strive Vector, and two other guys, and we are practicing like every night, doing some study,
Oh yeah,
doing
I've seen
some
his
speed
work.
paint.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's super good.
yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I was practicing after my school every night. It was like before cleaning your teeth. It was same. I had to do some speed paint before sleeping, and yeah, and Then I've done that for 2 or 3 years maybe. Then I found an intern. Do you know the guy who done Trackmania? It's
No.
a super famous video game about a race car. And I've done an intern there. And, I realized I could make this my work, so I decided to quit my school and start working.
Yeah. So you're pretty much self-taught. I mean, you have like having a graphics design background, I guess, helps to get like sensibility towards shapes and forms. But I mean, color, lighting, perspective, and all those things you kind of learned yourself.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
we had some it was the first 2 years you had some. You learn how to draw as well and
Mm-hmm.
how to paint a bit. So it's better than nothing. I think it's
Yeah,
good to
of
have like
course,
a
of course.
teacher just for the basic.
Yeah,
And as you know, if you can have some super cool basis just to learn perspective and proportion and lighting, I think it's better than nothing. So yeah, it's more like painting and colors and digital. I've learned by
yeah,
myself. Yeah.
yeah. The more I'm in this industry, and the more I teach and see other people's teaching and learning myself, is I have a feeling that as soon as you sort of touch upon the basics and you understand how things are done and how much effort and works comes into it, but then also see that with the proper attention you can get really good results. That's where you get inspired to actually become an artist.
Mm.
um, Versus when you get a tutorial to do something cool but you cannot repeat it in any shape or form, and then you get discouraged and like fuck that and move on. um,
Yeah, true.
it's a tricky one. It's because I believe everyone can become an artist in a way. Like you can, it's a skill that you have to teach yourself, and you can teach yourself to become an artist. You might not be the next Sid Mead or Craig Mullins, but you can, with the right amount of practice, you can perfect one specific area or a couple of specific areas depending on your how genetically you're built, and like there's so many factors that comes into whether you're going to be more single-minded or versus one trick pony versus like one man orchestra. Almost. The range is so large, but I firmly believe that um you can learn it as a skill at least. So um, did you? Hold on. Let me see what other questions we have here. All right. So, question is, how did you decide to create a game? The game effect, or I guess the game itself. The way you produce concepts and overall workflow. Did it intimidate you in at first, or did it give you a new kind of freedom? I guess the game effect. I'm
I
not
think it
surely.
was
Uh huh.
I think it was more like a new way of expression. As for example, you're doing a lot of 3D
Mm-hmm.
now, and it's more like you discover faster and a lot more things when you discover new things.
Right.
And it was just like we really wanted. We were very frustrated to do a shit game with Remember Me. So it was more like we really want to do a cool game and have fun
Wow.
developing it. And that's all was matter. And okay, we need to run a company. Okay, we need to learn 3D and make a game. Learn how to make a game ourselves. But uh, I think it's just cool thing. You just want
Yeah.
to learn and. Uh,
It's a new challenge, isn't it?
yeah, sure. And I don't remember myself being afraid, or it was more like, fuck, I have so many things to learn, and when you start to make it work, it's super motivating.
Yeah.
Uh, to see, for example, a 3D level where you can play, and you done it, and you never
Yeah.
done it before. your job was another job, and I think it's super motivating, honestly, to just do something different, but connected to what you know, and those things can uh, talk together. I don't know if I express myself well, but
No, it's
um,
it's good, dude. It's good.
and I think yeah, it's super. I just found some super cool energy by doing this, and that's it.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Learn Squared. Honestly, I mean, it's such a different work than just creating art. Just being a part of the company and running the company and helping to create new classes, and there's just the lieu of things to do is completely outside of the realm of what I normally do day to day,
Mm,
and it is scary sometimes, scary as fuck.
mm,
Intimidating and and tiresome. Like sometimes it's just like fuck, I wish I wasn't doing it. But it is a challenge that it's at the end of the day, it I feel like it's fun. Like, hey, I'm learning something new. It's expanding my view of the universe and my view of how the world works, and because the experiences I'm pretty sure the experiences you had from creating video game and running a company are invaluable for your current work.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think it's yeah. Uh,
I mean,
it's
just the,
hard
just the
to,
fact of the
I
running a
just like
business
4 years
makes you
ago, and
understand. Yeah, sorry, dude. It's just like I think it's we had
yeah,
this
it's
small delay that we talk over each other. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
oh, okay. Yeah, I just realized when I watch me like 4 years ago, I can really see how far I have changed.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely changed my mind just by you run a company, you depending of just you and nobody else, and if you are in trouble, you
Yeah.
need to resolve that, and nobody can help you because if you don't do that, you're in big shit situation. And
True.
yeah,
True.
it's really helps you to yeah to do things and do it well at the first time if you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it is definitely eye opening. It makes you a better
Mm,
businessman too. Makes you think about your
mm,
personal career more. I mean, there's so many stories you hear about artists that just get fucked over and don't get paid or anything like that. It's just like those are the
mm,
things that you can avoid if you know uh, become a little smarter as a business person.
mm,
And creating your own business, I guess it's like jumping into an ocean without any harness or whatsoever, without knowing how to swim. But what's the better way? I mean, you can drown, obviously,
yeah,
but
you
if you know
can.
you're fighting for your life, that's when you
Mm,
start to figure out things really quickly.
mm,
So
yeah.
let's see. Let's jump maybe into one more question, and we're gonna wrap it up. We had a pretty nice conversation here. Let's see. There's a few questions left, but I'll see which one of them. I'm sorry we cannot answer them all, but I'm gonna have to wrap it. Let's see. Uh, I guess we're gonna end up with this one. If you learn a new tool or technique, do you already have a goal in your mind, and try to accomplish it? What do you try to accomplish with it?
I think this is the picture you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was those two images actually super rad.
I think yeah, it's always with a goal. For example, I'm learning 3D, Moist 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Can you show
before
anything
I was
you're learning, or
sorry,
can you show anything?
it's super shit at the moment.
That's all right, dude.
I just start today, so
Oh, okay.
I just start today, so
But
I've done
you've
like
been doing 3D like poly modeling before, right?
yeah, but this is very different because it's more high quality,
Right, right.
So I try to make things better, but uh, you know, with this soft, it's super easy to get lost in high details.
Yeah.
So I try to just get back to main shape. But
Hey, as you started learning today, that's pretty darn good for one day of work.
I've learned it a bit before, but I just start this today.
Ah, okay. Well, it's
Yeah,
still it's
yeah.
a still good amount of work, man.
But I was learning 3D code before, and
Hmm.
super fast. I was thinking I can't do very accurate stuff. If I want to do that, I can't. You can't get any detail. I don't know if you tried 3D code, but it's just like a sketch tool.
Yeah, it's
You
I
can't do
haven't.
big things.
I haven't. I
Maybe
know it's similar to ZBrush in a way. I know it's
but
excellent for sketching though, for sure.
if you want, like, for example, to do this gate, you're gonna have enough quality. But if you want to do like an entire big machine with
Hmm.
everything high detail, you can't do that.
Yeah,
So
of course. Yeah,
I was
makes
learning
sense.
3D code to be more modern in 3D because I was in Maya. It's super old and shit software. I hate Maya, man. I hate that. That's why I tried 3D code. Super fast, I realized I want something by far more accurate. So
Mm.
that's why I'm moving to more, 3D Moi or maybe Fusion. I don't know. So yeah, there is always a goal. I'm not super. I think I don't try software just to see how it's work. It's more like there is so many software, and I think if you spend time to always learn software, uh, you don't necessarily can do everything you want. You need to
Yeah.
just choose and yeah, you. If we had like days of 40 hours, it could be possible, but it's just 24 hours.
Yep. Yep. I mean, it's yeah, it's usually that. I mean, you have to sort of like pick your own battles and see, what you can make, and sometimes, sometimes it's good to sort of like dive into something at least for a moment and realize, all right, this is what I need, and maybe try something else and see if it
Mm.
works. But yeah, I mean, 3D code, I've seen what Jama is doing with 3D code, and I've seen what others are doing with 3D code, and it's like, I want to learn it, but do I have time for it? And it's just
Yeah.
like you have to find that, maybe I don't. Maybe I cannot, do that just yet. Maybe I should maybe focus on getting the other thing done, and it's repeating the same work that I've done before, but at least I'm perfecting it.
Mm.
So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool,
Just
dude.
choice.
Cool, dude.
Always.
Yeah, it's always choices, and you just have to find what works for you. Dude, it was awesome to talk with you and talk about your
Yeah.
experiences with Strike Vector. As I said before, before we started, I didn't even know. I thought you just worked on it, and now just
It's
learning
cool,
that
man.
you were actually one of the main creators. That's awesome to hear. Founding the company and going through the experiences of running business. That's always like it becomes more and more fascinating topic for me because uh, I have this sort of like I always want to perfect something and move on and then perfect something else. But like running a business and um, like this is one of the things that it's like sticking with me a little more because now I can see how different it is to creating art and how much I learned from it personally, and like hearing experiences of people that run their own businesses becoming more and more fascinating to me. So was a good conversation to have, obviously. So, dude,
Yes. It
really
was cool
nice.
talk with you, man.
Yeah, really nice to have
Super.
you. Maybe we should do it one more time, sometime in the future, and have you
Yeah, yeah,
on and
for sure,
maybe
man.
see how you're progressing with Moi and do something with it.
That means I need to work a lot with 3D Moi. Yeah, but it's super long to do 3D. Fuck, man.
Yeah,
Super long.
you should watch Vitali doing stuff in Mo. It's almost unreal.
Is is there some video film doing 3D?
Well, he was you could see some of that when he was on Twitch stream with us when we were talking about Ghost in the Shell. He was doing some things in XSI
Oh,
and Moi. And honestly, it just basically seeing him work. It's like seeing a time lapse of something, but you know it's real time. It's like what the fuck.
You just bring a video and
Yeah, but
tell time.
he's yeah. I mean, it's Vitaly. It's one of a kind of person. So
Uh,
there you go.
is this video is still visible somewhere?
Yeah, you can if you search if you go on YouTube and search "Learn Squared," you will find it there for sure. So just
Okay.
"Learn Squared"
We'll
Vitaly, you'll find it there.
look at
Anyways,
it.
we're gonna wrap it up
Okay,
here,
man.
guys. Thanks for joining us today. Everyone who tune in live, and then I guess everyone who's gonna be watching this on the YouTube a couple of weeks from now. Thank you very much. Thanks for everyone who resubscribed to the Twitch streams. Your subscriptions are obviously helping us to get this show better and better and better every time, and promote the school and whatnot. So there's new classes that we're working on. Obviously, constantly there was a question on when John Sweeney's class is coming out, and it's coming out really, really shortly. Just stay tuned, and we'll obviously talk about that a little more. But yeah. Anyways, dude, thanks for being here, and
Yeah,
I'll
thank you,
talk to you
man.
later.
It was cool.
And
Yeah.
for everyone else,
Have a good
till
day.
next week.
Cheers. Bye.